than you could foresee.
Into the darkness.
Unable to return to that light upon a hill. Happiness mistaken for sad.
Into the darkness.
Trapped by a rumor, lost out at sea.
Into the darkness.
Slip.
Into the darkness.
Fall.
Into the darkness.
Fade.
Into the darkness.
Remain.
Am I late? Did I miss it?
No, there's still 20 minutes.
Oh, thank God. I thought I was going to miss it. How long have you been waiting?
About 20 minutes.
Excuse me, you forgot your notebook.
Thanks. Leave it everywhere.
I'm glad you didn't leave without it.
World War I ended. The flu pandemic swallowed up a nation. The Red Sox won the World Series. And a tiny baby girl, my Nana, was born into an Italian immigrant's family on the island of East Boston. I couldn't tell you when it happened, or even what happened. I visited, but often I saw her alone. But I visited with the blank stares, the smiles because she was confused, the commentary which started off upset about one topic, then triumphant about another. Towards the end, it was as if she had been dead forever. We were all just trying to keep her body alive. A body which someone else seemed to be currently occupying. I have this memory of my Nana slowly walking down the street off the bus. She was a friendly old lady and was quick to make friends with all types. Her local pastor would reference her in sermons, and she'd become so close with a particular bus driver because she was a frequent rider on the 10:05:47 bus to Somerville. As her health faded, the driver began to turn up her street to make a special stop that happened to be outside of her house, instead of down the street and around the corner. Her memory was strong for a long while, and she would constantly talk about fond memories of babysitting her grandkids or being petrified of her father if she misbehaved. Stories of my aunts and uncles and of my mother and her virtuous ways. She was always pleasant, always had a smile. But she seemed to have some interesting pact with the Red Sox. She always argued she would die the next time the Red Sox won the World Series. For years she watched the team. And in 1986, the Red Sox made it to the World Series. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And in the fall, my family stared in disbelief. The Red Sox lost, and my Nana made a full recovery. That was a wake-up call, and my family questioned the possible connection between my Nana and Bill Buckner, or even Babe Ruth. 18 years passed, and 2004 arrived, and the Red Sox won the World Series. I spent the last few months of the year waiting for the phone call. But the phone never rang. "2007, and my grandfather passed away in the spring. We noticed her mind going after that, and she would often ask where my grandfather was. We'd have to relive telling her he had passed, each time as if we had told her for the first time. The Red Sox won again that year, and with her broken heart, well, it made us think that maybe her too, maybe in some romantic grand finale, would pass along with her husband, months after her husband of 66 years had left. Looking back, it's clear her memory was getting worse, but at the time we thought nothing of it. Nana was alive and would soon turn 90, and then 91, 92, and 93. In January, she turned 94. Her health required she leave the care of my mother and enter a home. I visited. Not as often as I would have liked, but I visited. But I'm not sure with whom. It may have been with the empty stares or the confusing conversations. I would get so upset and feel so guilty because I didn't want to see her anymore. Because when the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004, her mind was dead. But I tried to refocus and realized I was actually visiting my Nana, and not those stares or the confusion, but the smiles. Because when she smiled, I could see some glimpse, some resemblance of my Nana.
Excuse me. Miss, could you turn that down or off? Rude. Sorry. We met at my cousin's wedding summer I turned 20. He was in school with the groom. He was a 21-year-old fraternity brother on his way to becoming an investment banker. I didn't even know what that was when I met him, but he had this smile that made everything else go in a blur. We had a typical romantic start. Roses, chocolates, expensive dinners, intimate weekends by the beach. It all seemed perfect. He even asked me to marry him while riding horses down the beach in St. Thomas. Looking back, it almost seemed too perfect. We were married in January, and our daughter was born in December of that year. After that, it all seemed to shift. The late-night phone calls to have to work late, the empty kisses, the complaining of not getting enough sleep. But I was home all day, with no break, raising our child. He said that I had no idea how much work he had to do. He was the clueless one. As the years went by, so did the roses and the chocolates. Instead, we had microwave dinners, and the closest thing we had to a romantic weekend by the beach was a hazy afternoon at Revere Beach. It was the distance that was the most difficult. He would go away often for work, and I was convinced that that was the issue. He would come back happy and relaxed. I knew it. I just knew it. Years passed, and he called me into the living room. I was in the middle of doing the dishes. I walked into the living room with the rubber gloves on my hands and asked him wanted. And then he just said it, as if it was easy for him to say, as if it wasn't something he had to think hard about, but came natural. I want a divorce. What did you say?
I want a divorce.
I heard you. Who is it?
Who is what?
Who is it? Who's the slut?
There isn't anyone.
Bullshit!
Honest.
Then why? Why are you asking for this?
I don't love you anymore.
I don't love you anymore. So matter of fact, so easily. I kicked him out. My daughter was 15, and she was just like him. I promised at that point to never trust anyone again. Never. I learned that I was the only person who would look out for me. The only person who would take care of me. He remarried, even invited me to the wedding. Yeah, right. I bought myself a condo in Florida, overlooking the beach with the money that I got in the divorce. Hardwood floors, central air, stainless steel appliances, marble countertops. I lived like a queen and never let anyone close enough to take me down. I liked looking down at the beach and seeing all the people and feeling taller. I rarely went to the beach, though. It never did seem the same without a horse.
Sorry.
It's fine.
I walk numbly down the lifeless streets, littered with cars whose cold engines have been ignored in the dark hours. I close my eyes, happy to trip or fall, be hit from behind by a stranger. Anything to feel. It's as if I'm floating, useless in the wind. And the only friend I have is one that hurts. Hurt is a welcome companion to the empty streets. In a population that wouldn't recognize me from a balloon, floating in the wind, caught on a bare tree branch, stuck in an ever so constant stream of a bone-chilling winter breeze. I walk up the stairs to my apartment and quickly lock the door behind me. I stumble up to my bedroom and close the door, hoping that no one can see through my secret. I tell myself that I won't this time, that I don't need it.
But it swells.
I can feel it.
The pain, the chill.
The chill is overwhelming. It's swelling against my skin.
Ready to burst out.
I can't take it anymore. I set it free. There, where no one will see it. Red on white. The pain releases me. I sit on the floor, close my eyes, and let my mind wander, thinking that it's over.
But it never is. The pain will return.
Everything will go back to the way it was.
It always does.
It always does. A car razor and I hurry to the window. And I see that the street isn't empty. It isn't dark and alone.
It is filled.
It is filled with people, vibrant with engines running and dogs being walked, with children running and buses driving by. I realize that the street isn't empty, lifeless. I just wouldn't let myself see that the street was filled with people. People that were willing to help.
I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. Like about the time I went dirty dancing with Patrick Swayze, or the time I went platform shoe shopping with the Spice Girls. Sit down, ask, okay?
Okay.
Do you know Ginger wasn't even a real Ginger? It was all an act. It's true. I sold her first wig. I wasn't working at the wig store or anything, but the owner fainted. He was a good friend of mine, and I wasn't about to let him miss out on a sale. He owed me $200 to buy a present for his girlfriend, who took it with her when she left him. The bastard. Although, it wasn't really a bastard. I knew his father. What a sweet, sweet man. Always opening the door for me and telling me to hurry up to get me out of the rain. I swear, that is a real man. Not like men today who go to Jared or Kay Jewelers to buy a bracelet for their wives and their girlfriends at the same store. I swear, a real man opens the door for you. I always knew I was different, unique, from when I was little. Some people were nice about it, some weren't. Especially my religious aunt. Ooh, one time I played Joseph in a Christmas play. I sneezed and I got frankincense all over the three wise men. One of them was saying he was so partially blind, but he was just overreacting. They were so mad. Ooh. You know what? I'm craving a steak and cheese sub from Bolito's on 54th Street. Best steak and cheese sub I have ever had. I swear, if I was on death row and they were like, what do you want for your last meal? I'd be like, a steak and cheese sub from Bolito's on 54th Street, duh. Wait. Bolito's is that nasty place that got closed down for breeding cats in the storage room. Ooh, I take that back. My last meal would be corned beef and cabbage. I swear, I had it every year for my birthday. My mother would always have over some sort of company, like the new charity case of the month. Sometimes it was the neighbor who never really lasted more than a few months. And every now and again, it was a friend of mine from school. Yeah. Susie Orkman came over one year, got all dolled up, had a fur coat on and everything. But if you ask me, I think she got it out of the dumpster because I have no idea how she got that huge ketchup stain on it. Anyway, Susie had this glorious idea that the two of us were dating. And when I showed her my room, she made a move. And I was like, ew, no! Anyway, Susie, sweet girl, but I had to let her down though. But if you ask me, somebody must have already let her common sense down, if you know what I'm talking about. I had a lot of relationships like that over the years. But as time went on, and I opened up to people I was close to, I really started to feel comfortable with who I was. Like the whole situation wasn't bad. Like I was normal. Ooh, one year, I dressed up like a hula girl for Halloween. I won best costume. The guys were so like, you should be Miss America. And I was like, I got disqualified. Wait. I was telling you a story. Oh, right, Ginger Spice, funny story, she's a bitch. But you could probably tell that from her name. Is anyone sitting here?
No.
Ow, shit.
china doll. She was exquisite, with long locks of auburn hair and bright blue eyes. I held the doll all day while I was at my grandmother's house, and I didn't put her down until my parents came to pick me up. When we got home, my parents took the doll away from me. They said that she was too fragile for me to play with, so they placed her on a shelf, high up out of my reach. They said that when I was older, I could play with her. Granted, I had the appropriate supervision. As the days went by, I would stare up at the doll, waiting for the day when I could brush her hair and serve her tea. One day, I decided I wanted to play with her. And so I did. I pushed my toy chest up to the shelf, stood on my toes, and reached up high. I felt for her dress, and I pulled. She fell into my arms, and I finally felt content. It was the happiest I had ever been. My parents were so upset with me that they took the doll away, and they made me give her back to my grandmother. I always resented them for that, until I was old enough to realize that they were right. Now that I'm a mother, I understand. But my parents were rarely around. My father was a lawyer, and my mother sold real estate. Both were working hard to provide the lifestyle that I took for granted. Neither ever paid much attention to me, and the older I got, the less time they spent with me. So, I began to look for attention elsewhere, and eventually, I became accustomed to doing whatever it was that I had to do in order to get attention. And that is when I got into trouble. I craved the attention. I stopped thinking about other things. I couldn't even tell you who. When I told my parents, my father just stared at me for what must have only been a moment, but it felt like forever. My parents were the first to suggest it, but I protested. I mean, I attempted to imagine my life. I could just see myself walking down the street, pushing a baby carriage, people all around me saying, "Look at her.
What a young mother.
That baby's adorable."
Baby having a baby. Where are her parents?
I thought about all of the hugs and the reliance on me, how I would constantly be wanted and needed and loved, how I would have all the attention that I ever wanted. At the time, I couldn't understand why my parents would ever want to take something like that away from me. They claimed that I wasn't ready, that I was doing this for the wrong reasons, and that I would understand in time. I spent a lot of time thinking about the sunny days at the park, and the t-ball games, the dance recitals, and the big, puffy dresses. I thought about actually being a mother. And I came to this conclusion. Life should be made out of love, and only when you're in love.
Not for attention, not to fill some void inside. Who was I doing this for? Well, when I could answer that, I don't blame my parents. They were just trying to help me. I went to the clinic on a Friday. It was a warmer than average day for March. And I stayed out of school for 3 days. My best friend came over, and she spent time with me, but I never really talked about it with anyone. I guess there are just some things I would never talk about.
Excuse me, what time is it? Excuse me,
What?
do you have the time?
Looks like 12.
Thanks.
I've always grown up watching out for myself. My aunt always told me to watch my back. Otherwise, someone will sneak up behind me. Growing up different is never easy, and I'd imagine everyone has their thing that makes them unique. It's just that mine happens to be all over my face. My entire life, no matter what I did or who I tried to be, I was always the black girl. Even at an early age, I was clearly made aware that I was different. Despite often being picked last by the kids at recess, I was always invited to every birthday party. As I got older, I realized I was usually seated right next to the birthday boy or girl, right within frame of the camera. I must have looked so nice in those rich suburban families' photos. Add a little spice, a little diversity to the mix. Filling out forms for college, I would get these comments, like, "Oh, you'll get in wherever you want. Everyone's looking for a normal black girl." A normal black girl. That's what I was to them. I majored in sociology in college, and it seemed like every class, despite the title of the course, was actually about race, gender, and ethnicity. And again, in every conversation, I got to hear the professor say, "You know, I'd really like to hear from Brittany about this." Or my classmates asking me questions like,
How long have you lived here?
"Forever?
Was English your first language?
Yo no comprehendo."
African American or black?
Seriously?
Did you vote for Obama?
Am I supposed to?
What's your favorite color?
What the hell is that, honestly? No matter where I went or what I did, that's all I ever was. And I started to wonder, is everything I've ever accomplished to be some token? Or fill some diversity quota? I just got mad and started to resent these people and their ignorance. I was sick of being their teacher, educating them on the ways of the African female. I felt like some sort of sideshow traveling around. And no matter where I went, people assumed I had been handed things my entire life. That I had to be given opportunities because I was the normal black girl. Well, I realized that was not the case. That any missed opportunity was because I was black. And that being black is the only thing that has ever held me back. And anyone who gave me shit, I gave it right back.
You're wrong.
You're fired.
You always do this.
We're done.
Why are you acting this way?
You're not my sister just because
further.
Into the darkness.
Unable to return. Unable to see. Trapped by the abuse and the misuse of life.
Into the darkness.
Slip.
Into the darkness.
Fall.
Into the darkness.
Fade.
Into the darkness.
Into the darkness. Remain.